Some breaking news tonight. A U.S. soldier on active duty is under arrest, accused of trying to provide support to ISIS. National security correspondent Jennifer Griffin has more from the Pentagon. Jennifer?
Federal law enforcement officials tell me an active duty American soldier based in Hawaii has been charged with alleged ties to ISIS. Sergeant First Class Aikiaka Eric Kang was arrested late Saturday night at Schofield Barracks for providing material support to the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. He is 34 years old and is one of the only active duty troops to be charged with ties to a terror group in recent memory. According to Kang's Army service record, he served in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Korea as an air traffic control operator with the 25th Combat Aviation Brigade in the 25th Infantry Division. FBI Special Agent in Charge Paul Delacourt issued the following statement tonight. Kang has been under investigation by the U.S. Army and the FBI for over a year. FBI assets and Army investigative resources were continuously deployed to ensure the public's safety during the course of this investigation and Kang's eventual arrest. A criminal complaint is being filed today in the District Court of Hawaii, alleging that Kang swore allegiance to ISIS, attempted to provide military documents to ISIS, and attempted to provide training to the terrorist organization. The FBI believes that Kang was a lone actor. Dana?
All right. Thank you, Jennifer. And Kimberly, we have to congratulate the military and the FBI for their intelligence operations and be able to track him for a year and then to stop him before he could actually do anything.
Absolutely. And I think that's the headline here, is that this is our intelligence community doing the very best that it can to identify, to isolate, to do an investigation. And what I think is very important here is I'm quite certain that they were able to accumulate and assimilate a large amount of information to be able to see who his contacts are, who he's been communicating to for a larger terror web, which is very important in terms of like fresh intelligence coming in and being able to identify others that might want to do us harm here and collaborate with the enemy.
And Greg, one of the things that ISIS wants more than anything is to turn a U.S. military person, which I think that today you see in Iraq, the good guys win over in Mosul. Yeah. And in Afghanistan, we have increased engagement. I think it's so important that we try to keep them on the run and on their toes so that they don't have time to plot and plan like this.
Well, it would, he works in air traffic control. He could have, this is a big arrest. What could he have done in his job? And thankfully, we won't know what he could have done. It's interesting to see what flips somebody, though. This guy was highly decorated, from what I could tell.
Yeah, lots of awards.
Yeah, what could convince you to give up everything for a holy war? If you look at the ideology, it promises you an express pass, to heaven despite your sins, which is very attractive if you're looking for salvation. It makes things easier for a shamed man. And I think this is where why the ideology is so attractive and pernicious. It's Christianity and most religions tie redemption to peaceful means, to becoming a better person. We're dealing with a doctrine where redemption is tied to martyrdom. Mm-hmm. So to get to heaven, you got to take out a lot of people. And that's what's creating a murderous death cult, and then why it's so important that when you find somebody like this, they're a time bomb. You got to pull them off.
Right. It is really interesting, Jesse, about how they tracked him down when they looked for him for over a year. I mean, he had actually bought a drone. He was on his way.
Yeah.
So the drone apparently was in order to defeat U.S. tank formation strategy. So if you can see where the tanks are, you can escape easier once you have the eye in the sky. Like you said, air traffic control, that's dangerous. I can't even imagine what he could have possibly done or allowed to have happen on our soil. And I just also, Kimberly, would like to applaud the SWAT team, the U.S. Army, and FBI investigators for making sure this didn't become a Fort Hood situation. I also want to say, a lot of the times, and I'm guilty of this too, I say, the FBI did this, the FBI did that, and you kind of disparage them when it comes to the Hillary thing or the Comey thing. But, the rank and file are out there every day trying to protect innocent civilians from radical Islam. I also want to say other thing. People on the left are throwing around the word like traitor a little too casually when they talk about someone like Donald Trump or his son. This guy is a traitor. This guy's the traitor who's trying to help ISIS kill Americans, not anybody in the White House. Let's get that straight.
Your thoughts on this, Juan?
Well, I mean, what strikes me is that you have somebody here who is an active combat soldier for the United States of America. I mean, he'd been in Korea, he'd been in Afghanistan, been in Iraq, And they say that he was guilty of trying to transfer material support. So I don't know what exactly that means. I don't know what material.
Photographs, probably.
But it might be. I don't know if it's intel beyond that, but it's certainly, given his job, you would think that it had to do with maybe information, maybe photographs, but information about patterns of U.S. aircrafts coming and going that could allow them for attacks. But what I'm really fascinated by is he is active duty. This is the first time this has happened. So we've had Reality Winner before, if you remember. She was in intel, but she was a consultant who had left the Air Force when she was then trying to get information. Of course, before that, we had Bradley Manning. And again, he was in the military, but not active duty, not on the front line.
Yeah, Fort Hood's the closer, I would have.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Fort Hood is the one that is the closest to this example. Somebody that was in the military and killed, over a dozen.
No, but I'm saying this guy was out on the front lines of combat, Greg. Right. So he had the opportunity to be involved in ongoing operations where our people their lives are immediately at stake. And to me, that's particularly threatening.
Well, the Fort Hood guy was in a hospital where there were no guns,
but they did
and he had a gun and killed them all.
They did a great job here, and this is a very valuable lesson, and it's an important tool for us in the fight against terror to say that you'll catch them. We catch you, and there'll be repercussions.
And that just broke later this afternoon, so we're glad to bring it to you here on The Five. All right, some of the president's critics in the press are claiming his big address in Poland was essentially only for white Americans. Greg on that racial twist, up next.